Hello, welcome back to Ben Sushi Live Coding. In this episode, I'm gonna be using Spreadchalk add-on to create some kind of Persian art. This was actually inspired by a game of a similar nature. So basically, the idea is you have like a bunch of points that you can adjust to create a line, and the line will be like a duplicated in circular to create some kind of abstract geometric art. So let's get started. We know that the fact that we can use line and we can easily kind of duplicate it in circular using Spreadchalk, or you can also use animation nodes. So let's say we have a line like this, and then we can randomize it. Randomize is always like a quick way to get some kind of variations. So let's randomize it in the y directions, and let's see in the x, no need to do that, just in the y. So we can have this line with random motions, and we'll see how it goes if I kind of rotate it. Sometimes I kind of want it if the first line and the last line doesn't actually move. Maybe we can work on that later. Let's create the circular duplications using the matrix. And here we have a circle, and let's see, probably rotations, or yeah, probably we need to somewhat use matrix Euler maybe. So matrix Euler and the z, let's try the z range float between 0 and 360. So 360 should be it, but and the step maybe 30. So this is one way we can approach this creation. Let's save it. Save as new blend, and we can always randomize this line. You will soon see that even though this is kind of okay, but it's not quite beautiful. It's actually random doesn't always create beautiful. Maybe you are lucky and get one like a random seed that kind of generating kind of okay looking design, but most of the time you want to control the actual line. So let's try using an empty of some sort. So instead of designing the line this way, we're gonna use empty. And so we have an empty in the scene. Let me draw a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. And then I'm gonna select all these empty and group them. And gonna use objects in, get our group, get selection. Now we have our empty, and with the empty we have the matrices. So if we look at the matrices, we can see the matrix, and then we can actually use that to connect the dots. So use matrix out, and then with the locations we can use the points, and with the points we can use UV connections to connect the dots. So that's the idea. Something like that. And let's first of all make the empty a little bit smaller. I'm holding Alt and then kind of changing it here like this. So we have an empty that we can adjust, and this will be updated inside Spreadchalk. And now with this kind of like a semi-procedural line ready, we can then use it to duplicate in circular to create our design. So let's have a look. So this is getting better. I'll run the playback, so it's gonna update on every It's gonna operate on every frame, and then let's see how we can go about and just try to design our geometry. And you start to see what I'm trying to do. It's the funny thing about kind of design is that random doesn't always work. It's almost always better to do it by hand. So something like this might actually create a better looking design. So doing it manually. Sometimes I kind of wonder if if we are doing this, if we maybe like create like a mirror, maybe it will create also a more interesting design. Normally, if the first line connected somewhat into another point, it's gonna generate a bit nicer geometric design. So that's the idea. I don't know. I kind of play around with this and kind of wondering if they're overlapping, if it's any better. Maybe it doesn't always work, but we can always try come up with the interesting geometry. Remember, we can always go back here and then perhaps change the number. So let's try maybe like 15 and I don't know, I think it's time. You can always experiment with this idea. So maybe 12 and 30, it creates 360, and we can adjust this point. So that's the last point. This is the one in between. So of course this is more like a manual kind of work, but you get quite interesting design as well. Sometimes I think the combination of this manual work and also a little bit of noise, procedural noise, can give a kind of an ideal setup. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't overlap them too much. We can also use a vector noise here. And if we plug this into that guy, okay, we get that kind of random design with vector mask here, multiply by scalar. So we're starting to see some kind of pattern. So I think with I don't know, I think with the way our brain works, we actually prefer some kind of order. It cannot be like all too random. And yeah, there you go. You can endlessly try to get some kind of design, and once you're done with it, you can always use the intersect edges, and then you turn this into like a solid objects. Even though it's 2D, you can, or it's actually kind of 3D. You can always flatten it and then turn it into like a flat kind of a beautiful design that you can print. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for this live coding. Hopefully this is interesting. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.